Welcome to today's video message, Where is My True Self? For July 9th, 2023. Well, we continue in our lectionary journey through the New Testament, book of Romans. And as I mentioned last week, you should really read through the entire book of Romans. It's a good idea to have a good Bible commentary to help guide you through it. There are many good ones, including the New Interpreter's Bible. And when you do, you may find Romans one of the most intellectually stimulating books of the Bible. So for those who find that logic and reason stimulate their spiritual life, Romans is a great place to dwell and study. God can speak to us through the Apostle Paul's theological writings. So today we read from Romans chapter 7, verses 15 to 25. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree that the law is good. But in fact, it is no longer I that do it, but sin that dwells within me. For I know that nothing good dwells within me, that is, in my flesh. I can will what is right, but I cannot do it. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I do. Now, if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I that do it, but the sin that dwells within me. So I find it to be a law that when I want to do what is good, evil lies close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inmost self, but I see in my members another law at war with the law of my mind, making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members. Wretched man that I am. Who will rescue me from this body of death? Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then with my mind I am a slave to the law of God, but with my flesh I am a slave to the law of sin. Like all of us, the Apostle Paul was human. He freely admits that he indulges in things even when in his own mind he doesn't want to. His point isn't to make us feel guilty. In fact, his confession is remarkably free of guilt. He is simply acknowledging his human condition. Shelley Douglass, a writer for Sojourners, shared this. I remember when my children were little, tired, and cranky. There was literally no way to please them. Whatever I did was wrong and led to tears and tantrums. Neither could they please themselves. Crayons broke. Shoes stumbled, books tore, all their perfect dreams came to nothing. I could have a nightmare about it, a hot, sticky, humid day, feeling the end of the rope tired, knowing what I want to create, and then a stupid mistake. A word come from nowhere, and all is lost and in ruins. I could have a nightmare, but I don't need to. It happens all too often in real life that the loving gesture hurts, the perfect gift falls flat, and the best hopes and dreams are smashed through my own blindness or lack of care. One very good reason to go slow in a good cause. Paul said, I find it to be a law that when I want to do good, evil is close at hand. So here I am, bearing the burden of myself, my failures, my missteps and misdeeds, nothing right, nothing pleasing. And this man walks up to me and says, come to me and learn from me. Take my yoke, my burden is light. A cool washcloth over a dirty face, tears dried, a breath of air, relief, forgiveness, pardon, healing. The easy yoke, the love that cherishes the broken vessel, and the picture where we went outside the lines. Children can sense it. We are loved. We forget it, and we judge. When I want to do good, evil is near, but love will have the last word. As we seek to find deeper meaning in today's passage, may we remember that feeling of the cool washcloth over a dirty face. God's reassuring love helps us to answer the question, where is my true self? We find our true self as we live authentically on the journey with God's Spirit. Things don't always go as planned. All week at camp, our apostle, Chandra Newcomb, had been anticipating getting a date shake at Hadley's in Banning after we went down the mountain. So I sat outside with her, and a strong wind came, and a hand went to grab something before it went flying, and before you could blink, the rest of the date shake had spilled. There were no tears, maybe a little regret, but in spiritual maturity, we learn to expect that things will not always go as planned, dreamed, or hoped. Was the Spirit of God in that wind too? Sometimes it seems everything does go as planned. I witnessed a beautiful service of worship today, July 2nd, as Crystal Marino was ordained to the office of priest at the Victor Valley congregation and then served communion to the entire large congregation of family and friends who had gathered to support her. Our Pacific Southwest International Mission Center Peace and Justice Minister, Molly Wilkins, planned a beautiful service. Linda Reed flew in from Independence, Missouri to share a stirring message, and Denise Leichter, assisted by Michelle McGrath, offered a beautiful and meaningful ordination prayer. I was blessed to be a witness. May the gift of the Spirit this week be like a cool washcloth on a child's face, a familiar presence that reminds us that we are loved and reassures us in our hope of Jesus Christ.